Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. In honor of Women's History Month, we're conducting a series of podcast sessions with individual NITians to discuss their experiences and their opinions on this topic. I'm Michele Tucker, your host for this session. Today, I'm so pleased to welcome NIT's Global Head of HR, Babita Karki. Hi, Babita. So glad you could join us.
Hi, Michele. So glad to be joining you.
Thanks so much for being here. Let's get right into our questions. We're really looking forward to hearing about what you have to say on this topic.
Sure.
How did you arrive at the position you're in today?
Let me say I arrived here by taking some risks, like working in new businesses, new functions, and new domains time and again. So basically, I just avoided staying in my comfort zone. And I would say I have NIIT to thank for that. The biggest barrier for people not taking risks is the fear of failure. But I feel, NIIT provides that best possible cushioning for us to take risks fearlessly. And this is also something that, our vision document very clearly highlights, saying, we recognize the necessity of making mistakes and risk taking when it contributes to the learning, innovation, and growth of each one of us. So that's why I have NIIT to thank for where I am.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that, and glad NIT has been a support for that journey. Can you please take us briefly through that career journey and your growth?
Yeah, sure. So I started my career with the career education business of NIT. And then I moved on to the corporate learning business where I played multiple roles like, project management, heading the delivery. Then I was leading the software engineering and process group, which is the SEPG for some time. And after being in these business functions, then I moved into the strategic HR role. And I led the culture change for NIT Technologies, when we were basically planning to pivot the organization to become a value providing organization for the company. And after playing that role, that I moved on to the corporate HR function. Then I looked after organization development, looked at employer branding, to name a few of the diverse areas that I had the opportunity to deal with.
That's excellent to hear that there were so many different opportunities and different projects that you were able to work on. During that career, how have you seen the work environment change as it relates to being a woman?
Oh, well, I started working long back. I started working in 1991. And at that time, we didn't have too many women who would opt to work, and especially when I'm talking of this, I'm talking of India. But now I see that the percentage of women who want to work or who are in the workforce is significantly higher. It's a different issue that, some of them may not be able to sustain a long working journey, but at least many more are trying. That's one key difference that I see. And other than that, I feel that the environment today is far more supportive, as organizations are very conscious of not losing their 50% of workforce. And when I say supportive, it is in terms of, whether it is in terms of the maternity and childcare policy. So, for example, in India, the maternity leave is something like 6 months. Okay, that's a huge support that enables women to be back in the workforce after taking care of the child to some extent. Then we also have companies who are now recognizing the 3 M's for women, which is, the marriage, the maternity, the motherhood. They recognize these as very important factors in a woman's journey. And hence they are supporting each of these facets very, very well through various policies, through various schemes, through various incentivization and various things around that. And we also have things like paternity leave, sabbatical, flexible hours, and so on, which many companies are supporting now. At NIIT, we have supported them for long, but many more companies are coming forward and supporting these. So these are primarily, the work environment changes, and there are many more, but these are some of the key changes that can help women stay in the workforce.
And are they at the legal level yet, or are they more at the company specific level for some of these?
So many of these are at the legal level. So for example, the maternity leave part, the providing the creche facility, the childcare facilities part. So many of these are at the legal level. Some of these are more company oriented, like, let's say a paternity leave or a sabbatical or a flexi hours. Those are more company oriented, but others are supported by the government as well.
Excellent. Some of those are quite progressive. In the United States, we have some that are laws and some that are company specific, as you say. But we're not where we need to be yet, certainly. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I remember when I joined NIIT, I joined the career education business, wherein we used to work in shifts. So we either had a morning shift where we would start working at 7 in the morning and we'd wind up our day by 3 o'clock or so in the afternoon. And there were other shifts which would start at 2 in the afternoon and then would go on till about 10 in the evening, because we were taking care of educating the working class. Right. But even at that time, the support towards understanding women and their needs was so intense that when I got married and, I joined the company back after my leave, my senior came back to me and said, "You've just come back after getting married, and so you must have a lot of things to settle and, to adjust in the new family. So we would like you to go on 6 months of straight shift." So that's a policy that was 30 years ago. To say people who get married for 6 months, they get to work on straight shift, which was considered a very premium shift. Okay. And NIIT was sensitive to be taking care of it even at that time. It was progressive to take care of it there. Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
That's very, very inspiring to hear. Very progressive for that time. And, even now, that's great. What can men do to best support and advocate for women and for gender equality?
I wouldn't want men to support or advocate basis gender, However, I would want them to be able to, understand their personal gender specific biases. For example, assuming that a woman may not be suitable for a tech role and hence being biased towards some other gender, or assuming that she may not accept an international assignment and hence offering it to someone else, or there can also be somebody being convinced about her not being able to handle a stretch assignment because of a baby at home. Right. So we now have men and women opting to be pilots, to be homemakers, to be nurses, to be scientists, chefs, and whatnot. So my only ask would be to just shed your biases and provide an equal playing field for one and all. And that's the only way I would want men to support gender equality.
What a nice summary too of the Women's Month theme this year, right? Break the bias.
Absolutely.
It's so critical, and it takes time, but it's the recipe for progress.
Yes.
Who is a woman who inspires you personally or professionally?
I would not want to name a specific woman here. Mm-hmm. I will say I admire all women who challenge the status quo and live their dreams. So be it women who are flying warplanes, or women going to space, or climbing mountains, or riding bikes, or being entrepreneurs, or women who are joining the workforce, without there being any precedent from their family. Yeah. So I'll admire all of them, and they are all, equally great women for me.
Excellent answer. So many women out there, so many people out there that are inspiring, and so many of those people, so many women that do great things.
Yes.
Our audience for this podcast is global. Can you share some insight into the experience of being a woman in the workplace that is more specific to your country or region? Maybe some nuances or norms that others in different parts of the world might not realize?
Okay, so I come from India. And our government is taking all kinds of measures to support education for all across the country. And this is making it easier for the girls in small towns to enroll for education. But most of them are not able to complete it here, or are unable to use their education for enjoying a career. Right. So one of the key things that is different here possibly is that a woman is considered as the primary caregiver. So whether it is her own children, whether it is parents, whether it is husband's parents, just about anybody, and she is a caregiver. So irrespective of education, I see women stall their careers and perform the caregiver role willingly or unwillingly. So I feel this is one nuance that I have definitely seen in India, uh, and not too sure how much of it is there in some other countries.
Yeah, I think certainly it can impact other countries, but I do from what I understand, it is often specific to India in some ways. The elder care, the extended family care.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's an important thing to do, but for it to rest primarily on women, perhaps still is something that is difficult. It does impact the career journeys. So,
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. And what is one message that you would like to leave for women?
My message would be, don't underestimate the power of networks. What to say, and how to dress up, etc., are all very important. Okay. But networking is key. If we were to look at talent being equal, whatever determines relative success among people is our connections to people who can help, who can open doors, who can access information, and ultimately give opportunities that are economic in nature. So I would say skills being equal among people, you may get overlooked if you're not out there making yourself known and visible.
Yeah, it's excellent advice for anyone, and especially for women. That's so important. Networking is key. It's been harder during the pandemic, of course, but we find ways, and we have to find ways because it's essential.
Absolutely.
Well, we're just about out of time here. We really appreciate having you on and sharing your insights with us. I know our listeners will appreciate this, and they're looking forward to this session. But thank you for your time today, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Thank you so much, Michele. I definitely enjoyed our discussion today. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, for the listeners, we're looking forward to the next session as well. So we'll see you all soon. And thank you again, Babita. And we'll look forward to hearing more about you and your career journey here at NIIT.
Absolutely, Michele. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.